Hello, I'm Claudio Aguayo from Auckland University of Technology, and along with my colleague Ali Taheri, here we present the presentation Embodied Immersive Design for Experience-Based Learning and Self-Illumination. Okay, let's start with concept-based learning and education. Concept-based teaching and learning grounded on a mechanical paradigm has dominated Western education tradition since the first industrial revolution. This type of educational tradition is characterized, among other things, by its reductionist and lineal mindset that has led to siloed and disconnected knowledge generation. What we learn at school is quite different to what we encounter in real life. It is this very type of education that has led to siloed and disconnected knowledge generation. As represented by this diagram, what we learn at school also determines our workforce and the type of siloed knowledge that exists in real-life work environments and academia. This type of knowledge, of siloed knowledge, is affecting the way we can deal with wicked problems such as climate change. Climate change and wicked socio-ecological problems and challenges require a new tradition to emerge, a new way of thinking to dominate and respond to our social planetary crises and challenges. So, from traditional siloed thinking to systems thinking is what really will allow us to address complex issues and challenges by focusing on the quality of the relationships between the elements of system. In other words, to embrace a systems thinking approach to wicked problems. So what about embracing a systems thinking approach within education? Today, the 21st century demands us to rethink the traditional roles of the learner, the teacher, and the learning environment by focusing on the set of relationships between the factors affecting the quality of education and of the learning process. The understanding of wicked problems and challenges really requires us today to integrate information into integrated multidisciplinary and transversal knowledge generation, dissemination, and transfer grounded on a strong critical ethics and philosophical exploration of new alternative educational paradigms is paramount if we aim to respond accordingly to the calls to create a better future today. This brings us to the next point, the idea of blurring worlds. Today's fourth industrial revolution, fusing artificial intelligence with the Internet of Things, genetic engineering, quantum mechanics, and philosophy, and more, is blurring the boundaries between the physical, the digital, and the biological worlds. The fourth revolution we're experiencing today is one of emerging technologies, of cyber and physical spaces and systems. The fourth revolution is converting our world in a networked one, in a global one. New types of digital technology are creating new types of human experience, which brings along the emergence of new understandings of the nature of human experience and questions about how to design for it. What does the future look like? Is it what Hollywood is portraying in their movies such as Iron Man or Minority Report? We don't think so. Another example of an interconnected world is the hyperreality movie from 2016. This short film shows what the human experience might look like in an environment where everything is augmented, enhanced, and digitalized. In the example we can see on the screen, we can see how more and more designs where the body or the fusing between human and machine is becoming more and more blurred and diffuse. All of these types of new technologies are creating new types of human experiences in the real life world. In this scenario, education must become multidisciplinary again, where new epistemologies are to be the reflection of humanity's processes and change and transformation, while reconnected with old and ancient knowledge and ways of doing. For example, STEAM education, standing for science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics, seeks to integrate knowledge and skills from diverse areas. This brings us to the next point, the concept or the notion of knowledge as unity, something that is fully integrated. In the past, knowledge was considered a unity, a whole, acquired through journeys in people's life, from where individuals learn by doing and experiencing every aspect of knowledge through journeys. Here we see an example of a traditional knowledge from the Mapuche cosmology, the story of Tren Tren and Kai Kai Vilu, the methodological beings of the Mapuche culture. It is said that running up the hills in the events of strong seismic movements in coastal areas to avoid tsunamis, for example, is part of the ancestral knowledge that exists within the Chilean people coming from the Mapuche culture. In other words, ancestral knowledge embedded in the culture of the people from a given place. One positive side of embracing a unity view of knowledge today is that we can now make accessible non-Western concepts again, with emphasis on qualitative, subjective, emotional, embodied, ceremonial, and spiritual views of knowledge, generation, and practice. Some knowledge, some concepts, and some notions, known as qualia in the literature, can only be acquired through bodily lived and direct experiences. Here we postulate that today's digital immersive technologies can make it easier to integrate and consume knowledge through digital visualization and self-led user experiences. New media can afford to provide learners with a good foundation on many different disciplines, which normally will take years to achieve based on traditional pedagogy. Today, with new technologies, we can accelerate such knowledge acquisition and integration. So when we consider about the design process of all of this, we really need to consider that designers today require to work and thrive in a multidisciplinary environment. Designers and developers today are confronted to a suite of new technologies, platforms, systems, and approaches on how to fuse real and virtual worlds. Those new technologies can provide experience-based mediums like virtual reality and mixed reality. If used in a non-concept-based way, we believe that mixed reality and virtual reality and similar technologies can bridge the knowledge gap created by qualia subjects in Western societies. So how do we design to achieve such self-illumination, such user-led experience? Here we argue that the epistemology coming from the Santiago School of Cognition, with notions such as embodiment, embodied cognition, and enaction, can inform and guide the development of an experience-based type of immersive learning design based on an inactive, self-led user experience, a self-discovery type of experience. This brings considerations into how the body and the embodiment of the experience is to occur into the design of mixed reality experiences and immersive learning experiences. We propose here that immersive learning experiences design ought to focus first and foremost on ethics and a critical philosophy, followed by an embodied design for experience-based, self-driven illumination. For example, design principles informed by traditional and ancestral knowledge and philosophy is a key aspect within Ali's PhD research, exploring embodied interaction in mixed reality, in this case informed by Ishraq philosophy. So what do embodied design principles look like? Some of the early design principles Ali's research is bringing forth are, for example, the following. The technology and the device, for example, does not matter. What matters is the experience, not the hardware, but what it creates. The interaction should be bidirectional between the self, the virtual, the environment, and the physical environment. Interactivity should be able to occur everywhere. Moreover, when using different technologies, everything should come together in a coherent way rather than having portions or parts of technology to do different things. The idea is to integrate an integrated whole. Another important design principle is what we know as heutagogy or user-determined learning as a form of discovery and self-illumination. The idea here is that we move beyond pedagogy where we have a directive process into a heutagogy situation where learners can decide based on their own motivations and needs what to learn and how to learn. This is the type of research we have been doing in the past few years, exploring how mixed reality, free choice learning, self-determined learning ought to occur and how can we design for it. Another example of current research projects we have been doing is the exploration of embodiment in digital inaction in terms of considering the role of semantics, of meaning making in XR design. How does the process of meaning making influence the experience? In the next few slides, we present some examples of explorations into experience-based learning design. For example, here, and as part of Ali's PhD research, we can see a user interacting with real and physical worlds in an environment that only she can see and experience. Or ideas around haptic visuality interaction. How can we design to feel touch visually? And more examples of haptic visuality interaction in VR and augmented reality. The questions we wonder is, How do we design to achieve embodiment and inaction in this context? New technologies can also bring forth notions of ecosoma-aesthetics, or emotions and feelings, when experiencing immersive learning environments. Here we see a virtual tree that can convey the feelings of the place. We believe there is much potential for the use of new technologies to create experience-based learning, which requires an ongoing exploration of new technologies grounded in real practice. We hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.